start their businesses with a passion. And it's like, oh yeah, this is what I really love to do, and I'm passionate about it. But the thing about passion is, while you love doing it, you don't have a plan. You don't have how are you going to move forward with this passion? How are you going to earn money with this passion? You have this idea, I'm passionate about it, I want to make money out of it, but they don't have a blueprint in a way to actually move forward. So the passion, while they think in their head, yeah, I can earn money, I can make a business out of it, it becomes a hobby because they don't have a clear mindset on how to move this passion of theirs forward into the next step, into the next level. It can be a very good idea, a very good, whatever passion that they have, it's very good, but they just don't have that because their mindset is such a way that, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna see how it goes, that kind of mindset, and then gets frustrated because that little business that they want to build isn't there, not getting what they need from it, or not, it's basically put, the passion becomes a hobby, they have to look for another job.
Yeah. And expectation is also, there's a lot of expectation. So you can't expect, someone else's stage, five results when you're at stage one. So I think a lot of people join businesses or they try to grow their business listening to a lot of other experts or whoever's out there, putting out all this, we are putting out a lot of information, but you can't expect somebody who's spent like 7 years doing this and the way he or she is operating to how you are operating. So the business is always who you become. And that is why, and how you become that is consistent growth. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you don't do the work, then you kind of, it, like you said, goes back into a hobby and you kind of get frustrated. But if you're doing the work and not getting distracted, which I think, with the social media and online, a lot of, a lot of shiny things, right? So shiny things as well as a lot of people who are not actually, I mean, when you're at the stage when, business is moving, you're not thinking about who's doing what. You're just playing your game and having fun doing it. So I think I see a lot of, trying to sort of, you get distracted with all these sort of positive, negative information on the social media, a lot of things that get said and not said, and who's doing what. And it's not important. Play your game, but keep working on yourself because your business actually is a pretty much a reflection of who you become.
I think people forget the that they can say, okay, this is what I want to do, but they forget that, hey, it's a lot of hard work. They think, like you say, from level one, they think that if I start at this level, I start this business, I'll just go rise up to level 7 as quick as possible, as successful as this person. But they forget in between, you have so many things that needs to be done. The strategies has to be put in place, the marketing tools, how are you going to actually sell yourself, how are you going to be visible, and so many other things, and of course a lot more that's actually involved. And even in like businesses today, like with the COVID that's happening right now, I was speaking to a friend of mine. She goes, you know what? A lot of her competitors have shut down because they're not fast forward thinking enough. And she runs an English school. And she goes, she's got a business coach, and because of that business coach, and because of the marketing tools they have, completely, when the shutdown happened, she switched into Zoom straight away. Zoom online, all the kids and everything learning online. So one of the major consideration is that always be one step ahead. Think ahead of what is going to happen next, as opposed to you have the business strategy in front of you. The next business strategy, this happens, contingency plan, what have everything to be put in place. She's got a contingency plan now. She wants to expand, and she actually, is looking to expand in space, branching out. And I asked her this question. So with the COVID and the lockdown, how, how is it going to happen? What do you think? She said, well, when the lockdown lifts, I'm at the forefront. Whenever that is, she's given an estimate 6 months. Whether it happens or not, we don't know. But she goes, at least I won't be scrambling around, trying to catch up when the lockdown lifts. So that's how far forward that she's like, okay, I'm going to start doing this and this, and whatever that needs to be done next. You know her, Paul.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what's in that, and also what Ahana was saying earlier, is that, and what we've been talking about all the way through, I guess, you can come up with great ideas, great processes, read the right books, all those things, but having accountability, or having someone holding you accountable is kind of where I'm leading to with this, in the sense that, yes, we're all coaches of one description or other in this room here, but there's other people out there, coaches, mentors, whatever it might be. I think it just demonstrates the importance of having somebody working alongside you, somebody to see it who's not in it, to be able to help you out, just as you've just described there, Irene, with your friend, as regards to people, particularly when under duress, tend to think in narrowing views of vision, so they become very they end up working very, very hard, but just simply going in the wrong direction sometimes.
Yeah.
And the wonderful Stephen Covey quote of, you put your ladder against the wall and you climb it just to find you leant your ladder against the wrong wall. It's just, we're there as coaches, holding people accountable to make sure that actually, if they're testing something, going ahead with something, we can remind them as to what their values are, what their vision is, what they said they were going to do, and what they've actually done, to be able to help shape and form someone's success in business, or in their life for that matter. Because if that person, and probably, you've mentioned the COVID word there, Irene, where a lot of people are, yes, we have Zoom, we have the opportunity to have conversations online, but that lack of interaction with lots of different people is proving a slightly different challenge. We all used to go networking in person. Networking online is okay, but when you see, hear, and get experience of how other people are doing things, that really energizes you sometimes. And I think it's just making sure some of that is available as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, you're as good as the team you build yourself around, and you'll see that some of the best coaches and some of the best entrepreneurs always have mentors and coaches. I mean, I have two that I'm working with right now, so it's constant, because you want to surround yourself, and your team does not have to be just team that you're working with. Your team includes your peers that you interact with. Your team includes your mentors and support groups that you're part of, so all of that, like there's a specific group that I'm part of that has over 15,000 marketers in one place, and we share real-time data. That is phenomenal. Like, I could very clearly and very quickly see what was happening during the pandemic, what was working, what wasn't working. Like, having something like that with you can really change the way, and you perceive. So the COVID, how a lot of people are perceiving it, what the trends are, and why are some people succeeding. You need to surround yourself with the right people, and definitely, as Paul said, the right mentors, because they will see that they will see very quickly the problem, and they'll shift you towards the right direction. And that's the fastest way that you can get to your next step.
Yeah, I agree what Paul said, that the COVID and the Zoom, you don't get the same kind of buzz, the same kind of energy as if you work in a networking site, in a room, and that interaction with people, and human interaction, is just right. Currently on lockdown, everyone's also quite fearful to actually, what if you get the virus? What if you're asymptomatic? So that option is limited currently in Malaysia, at least it's very limited. So just make the best of the situation that we have been given or been forced into at the moment. And the only platform that one of the platforms we have is doing networking via Zoom. Unfortunately, of course, the disadvantage of this is we lose our ability to interact on a physical level. There are some downsides to having a Zoom networking session. You become a little bit more reserved when you are introvert. And also you get a feeling that you don't really want to go out anymore. You can do everything at home. But also realize that having human interaction and exchange of energies and, in a room full of people, you can also kind of gauge better what is going on with the room, with the room full of people.
However, without Zoom, we wouldn't be having this wonderful conversation because, of course,
Correct.
Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, Brisbane, and the UK. So it's wonderful to be able to have that opportunity. But I think that without doubt, maintaining contact with people, conversations with people, but just simple stuff, I guess. That I mean, myself and my co-trainer Bevis Moynihan and I were training some NLP work last week online, which has we thought would have limited effectiveness because we wouldn't want to put a full NLP practitioner course online on Zoom, but we went through some 90-minute sessions all the way through this week, and we're having a positive effect.
Yeah.
And something that I was reminded of in the differences we were talking about with coaches and mentors, we were exploring something called the meta model, which is just asking questions to get to deeper levels of detail within conversations. And often we'll hear people, such as the conversation you were having with your friend Irene and other clients I've been speaking with. You hear phrases such as, yeah, that's kind of just the way it works for me, or I found it really difficult, or I'm never going to be able to do that. Just asking the simple question of, well, what would happen if you did? And just allowing that person to have that thought. What would happen if you did do that? And then just opening up possibilities for people, because I think if you have endless conversations on Zoom and spend a lot of time by yourself, no one's asking you that question. Your unconscious mind is saying to you, I'm not sure we should go in that direction, and you accept it. But if you're at least saying things out loud in groups or in a one-to-one with your coach or your business coach or your mentor, just to be asked that question, well, what would happen if you did?
Yeah.
I know you
Just
ask that question all the time.
Yes, I do.
He's like my unofficial coach.
So what would happen?
Sorry?
What would happen if you did?
Lots of good things.
There you go.
Now, we've been talking about accountability and being responsible, how to actually, if you want to move your business to the next step, to be accountable. What are the ways for people to start realizing how to take accountability into their life? Because a lot of people realize that they may know or not know about it, consciously or unconsciously, that, hey, that's actually my fault, or I should have been doing that, but I didn't. But they go into a denial factor. It's okay. It doesn't matter. So how is that? What are the first steps for them to realize that, hey, you know what? I need to do this. I need to take responsibility for what actually is going on right now.
So is your question how to take responsibility of staying
What
accountable?
steps, yeah, what steps to take to realize this is something that I need to actually start.
Paul, you go first. I have a story, but you go first.
Okay. Well, I think from my understanding of the question, I would just relate it to clients more than anything else. That we've been through the process that we've discussed already this morning of maybe learning what their mission is and their values, and then setting a goal, setting them off in tasks, and as sessions go by, they maintain a level of accountability and responsibility and moving it forwards. But I will have clients who come to me that either haven't done anything, or very little, or have tried things that hasn't quite worked out the way they wanted to. There's another mutual friend, a different mutual friend, Irene, that I'm working with at the moment, that we agreed we'd work towards a plan of setting some goals and follow a process. And they were contacting me saying how difficult they were finding it, how challenging they were finding it. And as soon as I gave them the option that they could walk away from it if they wanted to, and we could come up with something else, it uncovered a level of determination in them that they weren't sure they had before. And they felt absolutely sure that they wanted to work through it, because in their past they'd always been given permission to walk away from stuff. So once I gave them permission to fail, as it were, we were both really interested to see how that drove a different level of motivation within them. So I don't think there's necessarily a one answer to that, because it's client by client, but there are some similar themes in I do believe in giving your client permission to fail, so that if they do fail, it's about what we've learned as a part of that, as a part of the failing process, to become comfortable with that so that we can learn and move forward. But certainly just to encourage motion, as long as something is happening, even if it's not driving and getting the results exactly what we want at that time, for clients to take responsibility for taking action. As long as that's happening, I'm comfortable with moving things forward.
So is that what you do as well, to actually, how should I say, how do you, to actually be accountable for something, to give yourself permission that whatever it is you're accountable for, whatever decisions that you've made, it's okay if it doesn't work out. It's okay if what it is that you're trying to do is not exactly to what your expectation is.
Yeah. Ultimately, if thinking of me personally as much as anything else, I'm much more comfortable through my NLP training, certainly, to think to myself, actually, by taking action and failing, I'm being far more successful by doing that than accepting things as they are. And it's as simple as that for me. When we met Irene in Thailand a couple of years ago, stepping on stage every single time, I was thinking I'm prepared to fail, because I'm going to get wonderful feedback on what I need to do differently next time. And I've kind of carried that with me ever since, that actually everything I do, including being on this call today, if I fail at anything in here, it will always be a learning process, and the same tomorrow when I've got a client tomorrow. The client and I will take a journey where actually we don't yet know the definite outcome, but we'll be moving forward. Whatever happens, we'll be moving forward.
Yep. So, Ahana, your story.
No, I'm listening, because I think it's really important to understand that we basically are, the way most of us have grown up is that we actually don't think failure is something good. But in life, most of us, most of the time, we fail. And so we have to understand that that's a part of the process. And if we don't acknowledge it, so I'll give you a little story about this lady who's an amazing salesperson, like she's naturally charismatic. She can talk, she just attracts people. She's within like a minute, she's able to have a very deep and meaningful conversation with somebody, but she was not hitting her results. And instead of looking at it as to why, she took it personally when asked, why aren't you hitting your results? So we are conditioned to A, take it personally, B, take it as a personal failure or a weakness, because that's how we've been trained. But that is absolutely not true. That's not why the question was asked, because we're trying to figure out what can we do differently. And I think it was one of the Ray Dalio quotes which says that, pain plus reflection is equal to progress. I think he said pain plus reflection. I don't remember it exact. Equals to progress. But when you are faced with the problem, when you're faced with the failure, if you're not reflecting upon it and why it happened, then you're not moving forward. You're getting stuck in a cycle. And that cycle is going to come and hit you again and again and again. So instead of moving forward, she became more and more and more defensive to a point where she said, well, I'm out. I can't do this. It's overwhelming. And that is what happens to a lot of people because it's just the way we look at failure. And that's why when we are doing these, we are planning these sessions, we're doing the business, we're doing marketing, what we say is let's move the emotion out of it and collect the data. It is not because this person is absolutely capable of taking great decisions, but we are all triggered in different ways. Somewhere in our subconscious are triggers of failures equals to weakness, So it just comes in different ways to different people. And so when you have this, the data, the documentation, you can go and look into it and say, this is why it happened. These are the steps that I took, which did not match up to what was supposed to happen. And then you move part of that blame from yourself, and actually the learning process is faster. So we do this a lot when planning our campaigns because we know that the failure is a huge part. I mean, we do a lot of lead generation. Whenever you're doing lead generation or marketing, you're going to hit a lot of walls and you're going to fail big time in many, many ways. So always, therefore, move the emotion out of it and look at the document. This is really important as part of the accountability plan, I think. And then see what's triggering you, because it gives you that space for reflection, and then create a path ahead. But if we can just move that part, and I guess both of you would be probably better in talking about subconscious triggers, but I think that's what really hurts a lot of people because they don't realize it's not about them. It's failure is a part of life. It's nothing to do with them. It's something triggering them, and they take that and go downward spiral instead of actually looking at what's happening and reflecting on it.
I remember when I was in my first year university in Coventry, I actually failed my first year. It's impossible to fail first years, but I did it. I managed it. And I think at a time when I came back to Malaysia for a summer break, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do next? Am I going back to the same university? Or do I change universities? And it was a huge blow to me. The fact that I failed my first year, and I'm like, do I go back and face everyone else who's moved on to the second year? Or do I just start fresh? And after like 3 months of summer break, and I thought about it, my dad asked me this question. And I said, you know what? I will go back to the same uni. I will go back to Coventry and repeat my first year again. And what taught that lesson, it taught me to humility. Actually, was the biggest amount of humility that I learned, because seeing the second years, they go into the second year and everything. All my friends are in the second year. I have to restart everything again. That embarrassment is there, but at the same time, I knew I have to face it. It also taught me that it motivates me, because hey, I really can't fail the first year again, because I can't see my second years going up to third years. That's the motivation factor to actually move. The other thing is, it taught me about myself, how failure doesn't really, it doesn't kill you. It just teaches you to grow. So a little bit of humility in your life, learning what it is, no matter how embarrassing it is, helps you to actually grow, and you take the emotion out of it. As I said, take the emotion out of it, and there's a learning curve there. So when when Bruce, and during the training, and Bruce was saying something to me, and it was quite harsh. It wasn't because the stage that what was the practice that we did, and I can get through it. It wasn't that. It was the fact that I'm actually thinking to myself, why is this person being so harsh on me? There's a learning curve. I know he wanted me to actually improve, to learn, to grow. And once I realized that, it wasn't so difficult work for me. I admit it was a very difficult 1 month in Thailand doing this, but it was also a very good lesson. It showed me how resilient I was, because I wanted to, in truth, I wanted to leave this. I just wanted to quit after 1 week. It was that difficult for me. Then I realized that I've always given myself permission to leave when things get tough. I'm not accountable for decisions I've taken and I don't follow through. Then something spurred me, because you're here already. Just go and do it, finish it off, and see what you can get out. And that's what I finished it, got my certification from it, and learned I can actually do this. I'm strong enough to do this. So what if I'm going through a tough time? Nothing in life is actually easy. You really want something, go for it.
Yeah. I think just want to pick up on what Ahana alluded to as regards to some of the work that yourself and I, Irene, do in regards to this whole perception of failure. Actually, if you dig deeper under failure, it's a fear. We're holding on to a fear, and it could be fear of losing your business. It could be fear of losing your relationship as a result of failing. But whatever that fear is, often it's fear of humiliation, and I think that's kind of what you're alluding to there, Irene. And then the work that we do in NLP, and certainly within timeline therapy, is, and this is coming right back to the beginning of this conversation, where Ahana, you work with people to build processes to build their business to be successful. My interest is also as regards to, if people aren't doing that, what's going on subconsciously that's stopping them from doing it. So once we pick up with clients that actually they have a fear of failure, and we do some work as regards to, well, where's that fear come from in the past? And there's a very, very good possibility that it has something to do when they were very, very young. And so using timeline therapy to be able to go back to unlock that, right back at the subconscious level when we first experience that emotion of fear, we can then move forward with a view of actually, and we would frame it quite simply by saying, to your client, Ahana, who's got a fear of failure. Well, what would be possible if you could let go of that fear of failure? And so there's a holistic therapeutic coaching that goes on that helps people move forward in their business. And I think that we probably all work in an environment where actually that's the type of clients we attract, because they're prepared to do work on themselves as well as work on their business. Those that don't realize that actually maybe I don't have to do any work on myself, it's all about getting the right marketing strategy, all about getting the right finance strategy, that's massively important. But it's, as you say, you are the person driving the business, so you have to make sure that you are in the right place to do that. And if that requires some deeper therapeutic work, coaching, whatever it may be, then that's what we need to do to let go of some of that failure, or fear of failure, I should say. So it's very linked all the way through. Very linked.
Yeah, it is actually huge. Your perspective is how your reality shows up. It's your perspective. And so that's why you need to have that gap when something is not working out. And that's why I use that quote, where when you are in pain, you have to create that gap in your business where you can reflect. And that at that point, if we find that there are business owners who aren't able to cope, that's when we refer. And that's why one of the things that I've told Irene is, this is not my, I can't do this. So I will refer them to you, or to you, Paul, because that's something that they need to work through in order to handle the strategies. So whether it's business or career, you want to move, advance in your career, it's the same thing. What's really holding you back from progress? So why won't you just leave a job and go and find yourself a better one? Why are you stuck with a bad boss? Like, all of that stuff is, it has to do with you. This does not have to do with the business or the career.
Yeah,
That's true.
Totally agree.
And both Paul and myself have gone through certain challenges, and I'm sure and Ahana have gone through a lot of different challenges in our lives. that actually have put us in this position currently, because we don't let our fears stop us from actually progressing. Once you let fears stop, and once you stop being accountable, you stop the growth as a human being. You stop your personal growth. When you have personal growth that stops, your business as well cannot function, because a business is not just it's not just an entity. It's a different. It's an extension of you.
Yeah.
It's organic in a sense. It's just not a building with tables and chairs and staff. It is another entity. It's another personality that you will have to nurture. So if you don't nurture yourself, you don't acknowledge certain things about yourself, and come out and face the fears and be humble, you aren't able to move to the next stage, the next step. Anything else to add? Because it's almost an hour.
Well, it's a great topic, and I think it's an important one right now, because there's so many people who are kind of not sure where the future is. There's things are changing too fast. There's not the job security. The economy is like going all in all directions, and we are in a phase of extreme amount of change. But it's a good thing. It's not such a it's you have to look at it and say, hey, all of the things that were not working in my life, I can now get rid of it and really focus on what I do want to build, what kind of life I do want to build, and then look at what opportunities there are. And there you will come across this crossroad where you're like, okay, there's one side, there's all these opportunities and these structures and systems, and what can I do? Should I start a side hustle? Should I get a plan B, or should I take my business to the next level? You come with all of that. But in order to get there, you need the other side too. Who do I become in order to handle that? Otherwise, you get crushed with in all the changes. So I think it's a great topic to bring up right now, and discuss, and that's why we spent an hour.
We can go on and on, but I think I don't know how much time Paul has. We do clientele in the morning. Oh, wait, no, that's Sunday.
Sunday, so that's okay.
Sunday morning.
I just want to sort of capture what Ahana said there. I think I love the way in which you described that, and this is, I guess, demonstrates as much as anything else how a business coach and an executive coach work in a very similar way and have very similar mindsets, because actually, what you described there is that there's almost like two people falling into two camps at the moment. They can give you all the reasons why it's not going to work, and they're very away from in their thinking, as in, I don't want that to happen, I don't want that to happen. Well, if that's not going to happen, what do you want to happen? And you focus on the things that you want, and then start building your goals and aspirations towards what you want in your life, or in your career, or in your business. And I absolutely agree with you that as tragic as this whole event has been for the last year for many people, certainly in terms of business and career opportunities, it is exactly that, a massive opportunity. I mean, I've spoken to many people over the last couple of months who are either in a career and now looking to set up their own business, or in a career and looking to advance their career and having a complete change, going in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So because it's kind of been forced upon us, we're doing something about it. Now, what we can reflect on when the dust settles, as it were, when we then talk to other people who are saying, I would like to change, however, but this and but that, it's the fact that a change has been forced upon us that's giving us the push in the back to go and do something about it. What if that would happen? That could happen anytime. We don't need a pandemic to do that for us. We could,
Exactly.
some people won't move until there's massive action pushing them, forcing them to change. So if you know that you can change at any time, that realization is massive, because then actually, oh yeah, I can do something different. I can set up my own business. I can develop my career in a completely different direction. So it's just opening people up to realizing the opportunity, the possibilities.
Yeah. I know the pandemic has forced a lot of people to do a lot of things that's different. Things that you want to do has now come to the forefront. they cannot make excuses anymore. They cannot just say, that's tomorrow. I can always do it tomorrow. Past year's been tough for a lot of people.
Cool.
Okay, I'll turn off the recording now and I'll get off my Facebook. Well, before that, thank you both for joining and having this discussion. If there's anything else to add before I turn off the recording, you can do so and tell me. Say it. If not, then I'll just turn off the recording.